Some heat. Stay tuned for our driving impressions once we get a chance to get behind the wheel. We're here at the 2014 New York International Auto Show, and I gotta say, if you're shopping for Detroit muscle cars, this is a pretty good year. Now, Dodge says the styling inspiration for the 2008 to 2014 Challenger was the 1970 Challenger. The 2015 Challenger was the updated 1971 Challenger. Tomato, tomato, man, but we'll tell you what's different. The easiest way to distinguish the two is with the grille, which has now split framework here instead of the single piece that it was before. Lower opening here is wider, a little smilier too. Around back, the taillights have a new split now. They're kind of cleanly separated visually instead of having this continuous reflector bar in between like they had before. Engines mostly carry over. There's a 3.6 liter V6 good for 305 horsepower. That's the car right here. There's also two Hemi V8s. The larger one, 392 cubic inches or 6.4 liters, good for 485 horsepower. Now good for 0 to 60, Dodge says, in the mid 4-second range, a quarter mile in the low 12s. Of note, new automatic transmission. It's an 8-speed automatic. Let's take a look inside. Big changes on the inside where the Challenger drops its old kind of retro-themed interior for one that's really not retro at all, but looks pretty good. Materials quality now along the dash, along the doors, is really embarrassing for Ford and Chevy, frankly, because there's just soft stuff everywhere that your arms and your elbows go. Even along the center tunnel here, there's stitching where knees might kind of wind up here. Dual zone climate control. There's a large 8.4-inch Uconnect system right here. We've used it in the past. Very easy to use there. And the Challenger remains pretty versatile. Back seat seats 3 instead of the usual 2, and adults can hang out there for a little while, short trips and stuff. And trunk is more than 16 cubic feet of cargo volume. That's a lot bigger than the other guys. There's more to offer for V6 shoppers now, including a Sport Brake and a Super Track pack. Those are performance packages. Unfortunately, you still can't get a manual transmission with the V6. It is available with both V8s. So, all of that said, does the Challenger have what it takes to take on a redesigned Ford Mustang and recently updated Chevy Camaro? I don't know about you, but I smell a Cars.com comparison coming on, so stay tuned. We'll let you know when we can fire all three up and take them head to head.
This is the Kia K900. Luxurious, spacious, masterfully crafted. But what about the thrill of driving? That is what Sport Mode is for. And with a 420 horsepower V8 engine and available head-up display, the K900 just made luxury exhilarating.
You can't haul your family around with all those sports cars, so we have a few family haulers for you here as well. PickupTrucks.com editor Mark Williams starts things off with the updated Toyota 4Runner. Then we have a look at the redesigned third-generation Nissan Murano. Finally, when it comes to hauling people around town, you can't beat the old minivan, and Kia has reimagined the concept with the redesigned Sedona.
I'm Mark Williams for Cars.com, and we're here at the Chicago Auto Show on Toyota's off-road test course because they're introducing a brand new TRD Pro Series off-road package for the Tundra, the Tacoma, and the vehicle we're going to take a closer look at now, the 4Runner. It's worth noting that they haven't just significantly changed this off-road package, but they've changed the way the vehicle looks on the outside too. Not the least of which, the front grille spells out Toyota. Maybe some of you remember the FJ Cruiser, very similar to that design. Also, skid plating underneath the vehicle, thicker aluminum skid plates for heavy-duty off-roading. But the big difference with this off-road package, which will be familiar to some of the Tacoma Baja fans out there, front and rear remote reservoir Bilstein shocks. If nothing else, that says heavy-duty off-roading capability. Unique wheels and tires with more aggressive treads. And on the rear suspension, still remote reservoir shocks, but it also offers the X-RIA system, which allows much more articulation in the front and rear axles. And the unique TRD Pro badging is right here on the side. As far as the interior, pretty basic. The only changes with the Pro Series package, a unique TRD shifter, unique floor mats, and red stitching in the seats, both front and for rear passengers. Now, we didn't get a chance to do any serious off-roading with this yet. We're going to do that later this year. But here at the Chicago Auto Show, Toyota set up a pretty cool off-road course taking people for rides. So you go up some pretty steep inclines, deep water crossings, some off-camber rock crawling, some pretty cool stuff. So it looks like it does pretty well, but we're not going to be able to give our final assessment until we get behind the wheel. So if you're interested in a Pro Series 4Runner, you've got your choice between 3 colors. The new Inferno Red, black, and white. That's it. Pricing is going to come out later this year. Vehicles are going to go on sale in fall. We'll get a chance to drive it this summer. But for more information on this vehicle or any other, go to cars.com.
So front and center is Nissan's V-shaped grille, similar to the grills on the Rogue and Pathfinder SUVs. Check out how it kind of sits here in this abyss of dark paneling between the headlights and the bumper. Very interesting there. You get along the side, the B pillars, the C pillars, and the D pillars are all darkened, which gives this roof kind of a floating effect above this here, the beltline, which kind of kicks up very interestingly right here. Finally, it all ends in probably the most evocative interpretation of Nissan's boomerang taillights that we've seen yet. Definitely not going to miss the new Murano coming down the road. If the exterior looks a lot like Nissan's Resonance concept from the Detroit Auto Show more than a year ago, the interior continues to showcase what the last Murano became known for, which was being a very upscale option among mid-size 2-row SUVs. Lots of soft touch textures here where your arms and your elbows fall. Nice touches like stitching here along the center tunnel where your knees might end up. It's also a very well padded area there, and it doesn't necessarily lose out on storage areas. There's definitely a lot of utility still, a very deep center console, pretty deep glove compartment here as well. Center stack here now has a lot of piano black textures. It's got 10 buttons instead of 25 buttons, Nissan says. Real wood trim as well. In this car at the auto show, it's got kind of this pearl white film over it. Pretty attractive there. The back seat has decent leg room. That's where I'd sit to drive. I'm 6 feet tall. And a good compromise between seating position, height off the ground, and headroom left over. My only issue is that the seats could be a little longer in terms of full thigh support here with the seat cushions. It does recline quite a few degrees. This is where you could go all the way back here. It doesn't move forward or backward, not as important because there's not a third row in the Murano. And finally, cabin materials along the door, they remain consistent with the cabin materials up front. It definitely reinforces the Murano's kind of ethos as a premium SUV. Now, Nissan says the new Murano is about 130 pounds lighter than its predecessor. It's also 16% more aerodynamic, and all of that results in gas mileage up by about 20%. Sorely needed because the last Murano in EPA combined ratings only